My name is Rob Goldstein Mahon, and I'm from Ionis. And I just, or everybody at Ionis really just wants to say thank you to Sarah and Karen and the entire staff at Alex TLC in inviting us to join as a sponsor and present here today. I got a chance to work with this organization over the last few years. They've been around for 21 years and they've served probably thousands of other members of this community that are not in the room with us today, but that legacy of support continues and grows every year, and congratulations to them. Also want to just recognize, following Dr. Poulter is always really hard. He got into really deep science. We are not going to get into some deep stuff. Really, my goal here is to try to show you an example of how we take some of that really funky deep science and actually figure out how we're going to use it to help people. So talk about the drug development process and give you an update of where we're at, kind of the so what part of it. And finally, before I flip to my first slide, thank you to the patients and families in the room. I've got a chance to meet many of you this weekend and previous weekends, and truly everything you share with me, I take back to the company. We can't have all 1,100 of our employees come to this meeting, so I make sure they know your names, your stories, your challenges, your hopes, your dreams, and what it is that you're trying to get out of treatment so that we actually focus on it. So thank you for taking a weekend off and coming and learning together and sharing together. So we'll dive in. I'm going to talk about two things. Our ION356 trial and our Zilganersen trial, which I think a few of you have already heard about. Quick disclaimer, I am an employee of Ionis. I own stock in the company. I'm also not a medical doctor, so nothing I say today can be held against me. I'm not giving medical advice. Good news is that there's lots of doctors here, including Dr. Green, who gave the presentation on Alexander disease a short while ago. So if you're looking for a clarification on something I said from a doctor there in the room, I am just not one. And the second bullet I skipped over. This is really just educational, but I hope it helps. So about Ionis, if you're unfamiliar with Ionis, Ionis is not new. We actually have been around for about 35 years. Ionis is really the pioneer in a very niche but really miraculous area of medicine called RNA-targeted treatments. We were really the first company to show that you could muck with this, you heard James talk a lot about genes and this Lego man and it makes this protein. We don't really muck with the messed up hat or the scarf or whatever. Really, our approach is to try to fix that intermediary and kind of change. If they're trying to hand that summer hat instead of the winter hat, we kind of go in and change it back midway through to the winter hat. So we kind of mess with this intermediary between genes and proteins called RNA. You probably don't need to understand it, but if you're interested, happy to talk about the science afterwards. We took this discovery that you could really change the way that RNAs affect without impacting the gene itself and created medicines. And in the last 35 years, we've actually had the fortune of developing a number of different treatments that have gone on to be approved for other neurological disorders, including one that many people have heard about called spinal muscular atrophy, with a drug called Zilganersen. Recently we got a drug, Qalsody, for SOD1 ALS approved, and a whole bunch of others along the way. For us, it's really not just about the numbers of things we get approved, it's do those things actually make a difference in people's lives. So a big part of what Ionis tries to focus on is we're not a Me Too company or a big pharma. We try to target diseases in which there is either no treatment or high unmet need, like many of the leukodystrophies. This is just a quick snapshot of our portfolio of programs that are in clinical trial, at least in the neurology franchise, which I lead. And you can see, this is all of them. 2 of them are leukodystrophy. So, we really do believe that our technology can be applied in this space, and we don't just believe that, we're investing in it, time and money and energy to see if we can actually make that happen. So I'm going to talk about those 2 programs today. As a quick reminder, they're both investigational and have not been approved as medicines by any regulatory body. The first drug, ION356, is for a form of leukodystrophy called Pelizaeus-Merzbacher's disease, or PMD. I actually don't know if anybody in the room or here this weekend is a PMD patient. I haven't met anybody, but if you are, please come see me. I'd love to meet you. You heard James summarize a talk from the scientists from the Research Science Day that we're actually in the process of advancing towards opening a clinical trial site for our natural history study, ROCKET, in this disease at Leeds. We hope to have that activated next year. ROCKET is a natural history study, and these are important because they help us actually figure out what's going on in real life. You know, a lot of data is collected by individual doctors and it kind of sits in your medical file, but accumulating all that information together to try to understand how these diseases progress, and therefore use that information in aggregate to create a strategy to measure something that's actually important to people. As we often say, we want to try to make the important measurable, not the measurable important. So natural history studies really allow us to begin to do that. So when we design clinical trials and we ask people to be brave and take a drug that's never been in anybody before, that we actually have a good strategy to measure something that matters. So that's what ROCKET is designed to do. It's about a 2-year-long study. One of the unique things about PMD is that it's an X-linked disorder, so primarily occurs in males, although there are rare cases of females with the disease. So the natural history study is just males, pretty young, 6 months to 17 years old, and we collect some tissue samples and blood samples and do some imaging. The exciting thing is that in parallel to ROCKET, and we started ROCKET a few years ago, we took those initial learnings, I think I have this little arrow, and applied it quickly. So ROCKET is ongoing and we continue to learn about the disease, but we, about halfway through the natural history study, said, aha, we think we have a way to measure impact, and we went ahead and put our investigational medicine, ION356, into trial. So ORBIT is our phase 1b global clinical study of ION356 in boys with PMD disease. It is currently actively enrolling. Open label means that everybody in this study gets the actual drug. There's no sham, LP, or placebo arm or other control arm. It's really exciting for us to work with these kids. Each of them are very, very brave. You know, this thing has never been anybody before. So they're really taking a giant leap and trusting us that we're going to do something together that matters. It's a phase 1 study, so this is not an efficacy study. We're trying to understand, does the drug actually hit the target? Does it change the activity of the PLP1 protein expression in the way that we intend? Or not. So it's kind of dose finding, tolerability, PK/PD study. If it produces valuable results, we could advance forward to an efficacy study. In a couple of years, this study will take a little while to complete. Zilganersen is something I know there are several Alexander disease patients in the room that you've heard a bit about. To remind you, Zilganersen is a investigational medicine. It's an ASO, that antisense oligonucleotide that we deliver into the spinal cord to change the expression of the protein by mucking with the messenger RNA. The purpose of this study, and I'll say, to spend just a quick minute on this, this study was started like 4.5 years ago, and it was designed to not have any breaks. So we actually mushed up. One of the cool things about rare disease is that regulators allow you to kind of mush together phase 1, 2, and 3 studies. So you don't take breaks in between them, and you can save time, therefore, along the way. Like ORBIT is a phase 1 study, and then we're going to take a break and go to a phase 3. And that made sense for that disease. But for Alexander disease, it made sense to mush them together. The downside of this strategy is that nobody has been unblinded to data while this trial was taking place. So we didn't get a chance to report out results kind of midway through. So we've been waiting together for 4.5 years, and as you've heard, we hope to be able to report some results in the coming weeks and months here in 2025. This study is an efficacy study where we are trying to determine both safety and efficacy. We're using this measure called the 10-meter walk test. It was what we call an endpoint in the business. It's a measure of gross motor function that was chosen based on input from patients and caregivers, regulators, and doctors together. There's no unique outcome measure for Alexander disease, and you've probably heard this from many other leukodystrophies, so we had to select one that was going to be meaningful on multiple domains in a person's life, and the 10-meter walk test was selected to play that role. There are a whole bunch of other secondary endpoints that we're studying in this trial as well. It was a double-blind controlled study, so whereas Orbit is a phase 1 study and everybody's getting drug, this is a controlled study. So there was a period in which people enrolled in this study did not get active treatment, and we will compare those that got active treatment to those that didn't to tell us whether or not the drug achieved, or the study achieved its goal of having an impact on the 10-meter walk test. 13 recruitment sites in 8 countries, including here in the United Kingdom, other locations in Europe and beyond. Real quick, we started in 2021. I kind of covered this. It's been about 4.5 years. We're right over by that purple star, and I am truly excited until we get to open it up and look at it together and share results with the community. That is not a long time away, and we're going to go forward together as a community no matter what those results are. We want to make sure that if there are the results we don't want, that we squeeze every single ounce of learning out of this study as possible, because these patients have given so much in 4.5 years. We need to make sure that we use every data point that they have contributed to learn something about this disease and empower future research to occur, so we don't lose momentum in the effort to make a difference in people's lives. So we really are trying to make sure that we run this trial rigorously and make sure that we learn something at the end of it. Obviously, we hope it has impact, but if it turns out it doesn't, our commitment is to really make sure this data matters and can contribute to the future of Alexander disease research. So quickly to summarize, Rocket and Orbit are ongoing in PMD. We're really excited to have the opportunity to continue to explore bringing Rocket to leads here in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure you'll hear from the team there if and when that materializes in 2026. We anticipate results from Zilganersen later on this year. Promise you'll hear them loud no matter what they are, and we'll come together as a community and talk about them and make sure that we're going forward and we're being transparent. And I'm really just here, for the next few hours at least with all of you to continue to listen, learn anything that you want to share with me. I promise to bring back to Ionis and share with the team as we go forward. So just thank you again to Alex, TLC, and all of you for being here, and thanks for listening. And I think we're close to on time. Yeah. Happy to answer any questions, or we can just break for lunch.